Welcome to Lending Forward, a podcast where we're lending every bit of what we know to our listeners. From real conversations and lessons learned deep within the industry to education and forward thinking. Together, we're lending forward. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to our channels and connect with us on www.atlanticbay.com. Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group, LLC, NMLS number 72043, NMLSconsumeraccess.org is an equal opportunity lender located at 600 Lynn Haven Parkway, Suite 203, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23452. Thank you so much for joining us today on this episode of Lending Forward. We're breaking ground with Kiwi. You have such a unique story, and I can't wait for you to share it. But let's start with tell everyone a little bit about yourself and how you got into this industry.
Okay, my name is Iheanyi Iwuagwu, but my friends, my family, everyone calls me Kiwi. I'm a real estate investor. I'm an entrepreneur with interest in real estate investments. I develop properties. I have interest in water treatment solutions, and also I invest in tech startups as well. How did I get into real estate? Would I say it was by chance? But I would say it's something I always had a passion for since I was a kid. I used to draw a lot. Houses, I even could come up with floor plans. My mom always saw that. My friends always saw that. My siblings always saw that. I'm like, oh, you're really good. My mom said, maybe you should study architecture. So got into school. You know, the way we have our curriculum back home in Nigeria is sort of like different from the way the curriculum is in the US. But by the time I got into secondary school, in your junior years, they call it the junior secondary, you study a bit of everything, which is the arts, the social sciences. That sort of like leads you on a pathway. You know where you want to go. However, if you want to study the sciences, you would have to pass all the science courses. And if you want to study the arts or the social sciences, you would have to pass the arts and the social science courses. Now, if you want to study architecture or you want to be an engineer, then you would have to pass all the science courses. That wasn't my forte, really. So I was good at the arts. I was good at social sciences. So I couldn't, I would say, pursue my dream. I went through secondary school, university, college. I studied philosophy, but I still had a passion for construction. I still had a passion for looking at buildings, beautiful architecture and things like that. So an opportunity came sometime, I think it was 2010. There was a financial services company. I had a friend in there and they were looking for someone to renovate their office building. So I jumped on that opportunity. I told him I could do it, that I had a team. He knew I had an eye for things like that. So we got the job. I did it and I did it really well. They were impressed. They were happy. And I was also proud of myself. Even before that, I know my mom, back in the day, she had this retail store that she got, and it required a lot of rehab. It required a lot of work that was supposed to be done in there. I went in there, I renovated it. I also did the interior design. So I just knew I had it in there. So fast forward, that was 2010. Fast forward 2 years later, 2012, I got approached by a friend of mine who said, hey, my mother-in-law has a lot. She's retired. She doesn't know what to do with it. She doesn't have funds to develop it. Do you know anybody that could develop it? And I said, yeah, I could do it. He said, are you sure? Yeah, I said, well, I have a little bit of experience. I told him about the renovation I did. He saw it, but he's a good friend of mine and he just believed in me and knew that, okay, he thinks I have what it takes. So I met with his mother-in-law. We had a conversation. We signed the agreement. She said, are you sure you could do this? I said, yes, it just requires me putting the team together. I have the team. I'm just going to make sure that I project manage and make sure that we finish the project. And she says, okay, how long do we have for this development? I said, hey, we have 18 months. And she was like, okay, let's go 18 months. If you don't finish in 18 months, then there's going to be a penalty. I said, sorry, we got you 18 months. We're going to do it. So we got into the project. At that point in time, it was myself and a friend of mine who was then my business partner. We didn't really have the funds to do the project, really. We started with the little we had. The funds we had, we used it to clear out a lot because there was a structure in there. We cleared it out. We put up the fence and we started building the foundation with the hope that, okay, we would find investors who invest in the business or we'll go to the bank and we'll get funding. But we went to the bank because we had, little or no experience. We couldn't get the funding. We spoke to investors. Investors were also looking for that experience. And it was difficult, getting anyone or convincing anyone to invest in the project. But at that time, I had my business that I was doing. My partner also had his business. So we were just getting funds, trickling in from our businesses, and we were just putting it into this development. Yes, it was challenging at some point. We almost threw in the towel. We wanted to sell the project to someone else. But I said, I think we should just keep going, that we'll get there, because we had gone far. We had done the foundation, we had done the columns, we started doing the block work, and we got to the roof level. And at that point in the roof level, I remember I mentioned it to my mother-in-law because she also got into properties as well. And I asked her to invest, and she came to look at the project. She was happy about it. And she said, hey, I'm going to invest some money. It wasn't all the money we needed, but it was still, something at that time. I think it was barely a month after she said she was going to invest. I had a friend of mine. We went to the same church. She came to look at the property. She said, oh, my mom is looking for a property. My dad wants to buy her property. Do you have anything? So I showed her the property. She came, we had that. He said, okay, fine, good. This was on a Friday. And on a Monday, I saw, the alerts. He paid 70% of the purchase price. And the amount we got the purchase price was way more than what we thought we could sell the property for. And for me, it was just a blessing. And with the money we got from that initial sale, the pre-sale, it was enough for us to, finish up whatever we needed to do. Most people wouldn't pay you 70%, but he did pay us 70%. We went ahead, we finished, the project. Also, the funds that, I received from my mother-in-law as well also helped. And that was how we finished that project. That first project was 4 units. There was 4 townhomes, 4 beds, 4.5 baths. And we had that done. And that gave us boost, that gave us the courage, to move ahead on the projects. And from there, we went to the next one, which was a joint venture as well. It was 6 units, and the rest is history. And we've been on it since that time. My friend moved to the US. I still continue with real estate here in Nigeria. And he called me one time. He visited and said, hey, why don't we check out real estate in Atlanta? I bought a couple of properties, and I'm thinking that it will be good for our business. So I took a trip down to Atlanta, took a look at the real estate environment there, did some due diligence. So we bought 3 properties, rundown properties, which we, fixed and we flipped. That didn't come without challenges. We had a lot of challenges. I lost a lot of money, but I think it was a good learning experience, because if I didn't go through that whole process, I wouldn't be where I am today. Real estate in the US, having the understanding of, the whole permitting approval process, having the understanding of how to put, contracts together with contractors, having the understanding to strategize, to raise finance, either from lenders or investors. So it was, I would say, 2 years of learning, but it was learning the hard way. But I don't think I can make any of those mistakes that I made in the past. And for me, I see every disappointment, as most people would, say, as usually a blessing. It's just a matter of perspective and what you learn from it. So yes, in a nutshell, that is how, I got into real estate building.
So fast forward from that 4-unit townhome to how many have you developed thus far?
Okay, I would say I have the 15-unit townhome project that I'm about to start in Atlanta. And I have one ongoing here in Nigeria. It's 20 units. So all that put together, I think that is 120.
Wow.
120
units. That is something to be proud of. What would you say, now that you kind of seen what it takes to build here in the US, what are some of those vast differences from Nigeria and over here in the US?
Yeah, I think every environment, every region is different. The permitting process in the US, I would say the city of Atlanta, because I know some counties are different. In the city of Atlanta, it takes time. You have to dot your I's, cross your T's, go through the whole approval, go through the whole reviews and things like that. So it takes a little bit of time, and everybody's trying to build at the same time. In Nigeria, yes, you go through the permitting process, you go through the approval process, but it's not as tedious as, we have with the city. You get what I mean? Also, the way we build is different. In Nigeria, we use more of brick and mortar. But in the US, we deal with wood, mostly drywalls and things like that. But we're mostly brick and mortar. The styles of, building is different, totally, totally different. To learn that, why I had the frustrations going through my first 3 rehab projects, I learned a lot as well as regards the building technology or the science of how to build over their building methods.
That frustration you feel, I'm sure a bunch of other builders are in unison with you on that frustration, particularly on the wood front. What would you say keeps you passionate? This passion started very early on for you, drawing and mapping out floor plans at a young age. What would you say is maybe one of the most rewarding parts about this, but what also keeps you passionate?
For me, it all stems from the creativity, building something out of almost nothing. That's something you build, adding value to people's lives. So I'm happy when I get involved in a project from the design stage with the architect, you work with the engineers, you see the building coming up from, when the lot is cleared, when you do your underground, when you do the foundation, when the frames come up, when the roof comes in, when the wall rendering is done, all that stuff, it went into the interior design and somebody walks into the place, and they're wild and they want to make it a home. That is the passion I get from building. I just love to create.
I love that. I love it. Let's talk a little bit about what you would tell someone that maybe perhaps wants to become a builder or an architect and the science part deters them, or maybe they're in Nigeria and want to come and build in the United States. What piece of advice would you give them?
I would say, anything is possible. I studied philosophy in school, right? That was major. That was my first degree. However, after I studied philosophy, I did some business courses here and there, got into hands-on experience with real estate, hands-on experience with construction, and here today. So anything is possible as long as you put your mind into it and you're determined to do it, because it needs to be deliberate. I would say go for it. Go for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right. We've got the 3 units in Atlanta. What's next for Kiwi? How are you lending forward for the rest of the year?
So we've got the 3 units in Atlanta and we've got the 15 units that is about to start. I just got the permits and approvals in April. So I put a team together, construction team, construction manager, architects and things. Everything is ready. We're just waiting for the materials to come in. So I'm excited about that. And lending it forward, I've had family and friends ask me, hey, how did you replicate what you're doing in Nigeria, in the US? How did you go about it? What gave you the courage to do it? And for family and friends, I tell them my story. I try to tell them about pitfalls, what to avoid. And I've had a couple of people who have also, ventured into the US to do the same thing that I'm doing. I have a friend of mine that I spoke with when I was in the US sometime in, I think it was October. And right now, he's already got 2 lots and he's already building 1 single family home. So I see there's an opportunity there. Telling people about the possibility of doing business across borders, telling them about the pitfalls, telling them what they need to know for them to be successful. So it's something I want to really put together and set up a consultancy firm, advisory firm relating to this and advise people. It's a win for them. It's also a win for me as well. That is in the works. And you would know when that is out there. I'll be happy to share that with you.
I can't wait. Well, thank you so much for being on our show today. We enjoyed you and I can't wait for more to come for you. I really can't. And this firm and being able to empower other people to know that the dream is possible. So thank you for this.
Thank you, Taylor. I'm happy you had me on the show. And I look forward to coming on your show again, when things.
Yes, I would love that. Thanks again for listening to the Lending Forward podcast powered by Atlantic Bay Mortgage Group. Don't forget to tune in next week and make sure you subscribe to our channel. Remember, we all play a part in lending forward. So go lend something forward today.